Hello darlings, how the devil are we? So I have more news in terms of Xbox partnerships. I'm sure some of you have heard it. It's all about Kojima this time round. I can tell you though, it is not Microsoft buying up Kojima's studio. It is a letter of intent. So it's basically a confirmation that the two studios will be working together, much like a firm handshake. So this isn't recent news per se, this is just more the step on to an older rumour that was circulating earlier in the year, which was basically that Microsoft were in talks to publish the next Kojima game. And this was following all the scandal that was around Abandoned, etc., and Blue Box Studios, and people thinking that it was secretly a Kojima project. Anyway, since then it has now been confirmed that basically Kojima and Microsoft have signed a letter of intent, and I had no clue what a letter of intent was, but basically it is like a handshake, it's an agreement, basically it's an early stipulation that kind of lines out some of the loose agreements that is going to happen going forward with the two companies. And doing a much better job of explaining it is Investopedia, and basically they say a document declaring the preliminary commitment of one party to do business with another. They usually include things like NDAs, they outline the proposal and the deal, and also they kind of cover the broad strokes of the deal, which will get resolved later on when they cover kind of the finer points of whatever transaction they're setting up. Now, nonetheless, this is really, really cool news. Now, what I also wanted to find out is, are these letter of intents legally binding? And the answer is no. So the general rule is if you have a letter of intent you set up between two parties, you need to formalize with a contract later on, which I imagine will be sorted when all the legal bodies and bits and bobs and the finer details have been sorted out. So, although unlikely, there is always a chance that the two parties could not agree on a settlement and pull apart and go their separate ways. So getting to the actual juicy bits of what is Kojima doing with Microsoft. So my understanding is that he is making his next game for Microsoft, and there is good news and there is also iffy news in my opinion as well on this. So as some of you may remember, Microsoft hired Kim Swift a little while ago, and Kim Swift was basically a developer for Portal and Left 4 Dead, and they have hired her to basically oversee the partnership for cloud-based games. More specifically, they have hired her with the purpose of assisting Kojima in creating a cloud-based game. Now, in terms of what that actual game is, there's only a few people who know, and we don't know. It hasn't been leaked or anything, so we're all in the dark at the moment on that front. However, what we do know is that Microsoft are using this as kind of a springboard to showcase their new streaming platform technology. And it really doesn't come as a surprise. What better name to get in there, Kojima, with a brand new game to kind of really highlight their new streaming platform and get people to try it out. And this is where things get a little bit iffy for me. As some of you may know, I'm not the biggest fan of cloud-based technologies at the moment. I think they're great and they're going in the right direction, but they currently just don't give you, and there's no way they could with the current technology base, the same performance you get from like a PC, etc., or your console. And even as good as the new Microsoft streaming service is, it still has its issues. So IGN did a report on it. It still has long loading times. It still has artifacts, etc., when things don't go right. And it can get a little bit laggy. And these are the same sort of trends we've seen all over the place with all the streaming platforms so far. So no one has actually seen this letter of intent so far, so there are still some big questions that need to be answered. For example, will this be an Xbox exclusive? Will this be a cloud gaming exclusive? Will it be on the PC? Will it be on consoles? And lastly, will it be exclusive to just Xbox? So will Sony get a look in with this? Which so far on all Kojima's projects, they have been multi-platform. But lots of exciting stuff nonetheless coming out of this. I'm sure whatever it will be really, really interesting. In terms of other Kojima projects at the moment, there was the announcement of the director's cut. Some of you saw the little trailer with him getting inside the box and people asking and questioning whether or not there's going to be some kind of Metal Gear humor into it. Will there be some Metal Gear Solid features, etc.? Or was it just a little bit of a poke? But looking at previously Kojima kind of surprises, I'm sure there's something that will get pulled out of it and we'll go, oh yeah, that's what it was all about. Anyway, it's a little bit of a short story, but nonetheless an interesting one, and I know a lot of people will get excited because there are tons of Kojima fans out there. When we know more, we'll let you know. But until then, everyone be safe, be happy, and be back with more news soon.